Hello, everybody. Welcome to the show. Mike is here. Garrett is right there. Hello, Garrett. How are you?
Doing all right today.
Having a good day? Little seasonal allergies?
Oh yeah, it's the best
Yeah.
time of year, when it's hot, cold, hot, cold, hot, cold, and your body doesn't know how to handle it.
Yeah. I'm just dealing with steady, sunny.
Yeah,
It's
lucky.
kind of wild. What are you guys dealing with today?
Last week it was 80 and sunny, and this week it's been nothing but 40.
Yeah. Oh, God, I
Sometimes
remember it
50s.
well. Oh, I remember it well. I hated it. Yeah,
Yep.
those seasonal, like I used to blame seasonal allergies on a lot of stuff where all of a sudden I'll wake up one day and I just blowing my nose like crazy for no reason. That happened to me yesterday here. And it's like, okay, nothing's changed. It's 75 and blue skies. So
Yeah.
I go ahead and make sense of it. I
Your
don't.
body just got ready to be sick again and then realized it doesn't have to be.
Yeah, maybe. I don't know. Exciting day. Just Garrett and I today. Um, but there's been a lot going on over here behind the scenes. It's kind of wild. I'm excited. G and I, as soon as I'm done with the show, are going to start pulling everything out of the studio area and the garage next door. As they're coming to paint on Friday. So we got to get that all cleaned out so they can paint, and then lights are going in and all kinds of stuff. So at least the ball's moving forward. We're expecting to hear back on the AC unit any day. And as soon as they do that, it'll be a couple days before that gets in, and then carpet. And then we start putting the studio together. It's going to be kind of wild. I was looking at microphones and I've got to get rid of, like, I would never use this stand here. They're just not stable enough. um, you've got a pretty good deal going on right there.
Yeah.
It's funny. I'm looking at my old yeah, what is that, a Rode? Is that a Rode mic stand or
I don't even know what it is.
knockoff
I think it's
Rode?
just knockoff road.
Knockoff Rode. Yeah. It's pretty cool. Those are pretty standard. The Rode ones anyways, we all had in the radio stations, but the springs on them squeak when you move them around. Yeah,
Yeah, you do
exactly.
that.
And so the ones I have now are Rode. But I think I'm gonna have to get a new one for the new studio. I love Rogan's. I might go that route. And he's got those ultras that they're expensive, but they come underneath. And so many of us radio guys are like, oh yeah, I want the ones that I want the same headphones I used in the radio station. The
Yep.
ER20 microphones that I used to use were like, Drew still uses them. And there's, we all use those forever. And the Rode mic stand is just a staple. The Rode mic stand that, is in every radio station in America. But one thing that's different is all these, like, forever, your voice was just heard. That's it. And now your video is shown. And so what those Rodes do is they put the mic like this.
Yep.
And so to talking to him, you have this thing. And so it looks good with you, what you're doing there, Garrett. I'll do something similar where it's coming up underneath and you get a better camera shot. It drove me nuts in the studio as I was in at my house, especially because my cameras I had the one that was on me, if you remember, was straight across, but it had that archway. So it had
Yep.
to be up and then zoomed in a little bit. And, but it really gave this kind of look if you're looking at it. And so, I don't know. I don't know why I'm even telling you this, but just some tweaky things we'll
Yeah, it's just
do.
video killed the radio star is all.
Yeah, exactly. There you go.
You should make
Exactly,
a song
buddy.
about that.
Exactly. But speaking of radio, I've been texting with Drew, Dave Landau, Angela, Mona, Jonathan. I've been talking to them just in circles over the last week about, putting together Drew and I going and doing Normal World out in Dallas together. And the whole time I'm like, yeah, Drew's going to be your problem because
Yeah.
Drew doesn't need the money. He doesn't need the exposure. He doesn't give a shit. I just want to go have fun. I'm not looking for anything more than just, like, I think it's cool. I think people would enjoy hearing that. But Drew has been like, yeah, let's do it.
He's
And
getting out of his shell a little bit more. I just
dude,
saw him
he
live for
is.
like the first. He only does one live show a year, and it's the WATP show, and it's
Yeah.
almost like a
Yeah.
once a year you have to just go see Drew because
Yeah.
it's the only time he's out of
Totally.
his house.
Totally. But so anyways, I got an email from the bookers over at Normal World, and they're like, they sent one to me and Drew, just going a little behind the scenes, and we're like, hey, just wonder what your schedules look like, if you guys want to do this, and I'm just like, hey, Angela, I sent her a note on this. I just texted her. I was like, hey, I'm good whenever. If Drew can do it, I'll make it work. So, if you can get Drew to commit to something, then we're good. And I told Drew the same. I texted him. I was like, hey,
Yeah.
buddy, whatever works for you, I'll make work. I'm going to be out of town. I'm going to go to California for a couple weeks around Christmas. But other than that, I'm good. And Drew's like, oh, well, he did his typical Drew. And it's like, well, yeah, we'll see this, and I'm like, okay, well, just let me know. And son of a bitch texted me the next day and was like, I think I'm good. And I was
Oh
just like,
shit.
holy shit. He's like, I reached out to Angela over there, and I'm like, awesome. And so I can tell you all now, I haven't booked flights yet, but they're Drew and I are going to be on Normal World, their first show back of the new year. So January 7th. And then on top of that, Drew goes, yeah, I'm thinking we make a time of it in Dallas, and I might stay for a little longer. And I was like, what are you thinking? And so we start talking about it, and I'm like, dude, I've got all this fucking equipment. I got my mics, headphones. I've got, Travis and Aaron hooked it up so that I can do this shit from anywhere like this. I'm like, what do you think about me bringing some equipment? We do a couple crossover shows
Yeah.
from Dallas. And he's like, yeah, I think we should do that.
You could
And
use the old Drew and Mike name again.
yeah, right. And then I texted Landau. I'm like, hey, if Drew and I hang out, you want to do a show with us? He's like, fuck yeah. And so I think it sounds like we're going to go before that day. So we'll do Dave's show, but it sounds like in the preliminary planning stages, Drew and I are going to do a couple shows, maybe with Landau before the Normal World appearance, and do them somewhere in Dallas.
That'd be awesome.
Dude, it'll be great. It'll be really cool. So I know Drew, he's not going to stay at the hotel they booked for him. He's going to get a suite somewhere. I just know him.
Yeah.
And I'm like, dude, get a dope suite and we'll do it from there. So we'll see. But it's coming together. I'm excited. I think listeners will really enjoy it. I think that's a good roundtable, honestly, and I'm excited to do it. I think, and on top of that, I think Landau's going to fucking do once a week with us.
I am 100% down for that.
Yeah. So Dave and I are working behind the scenes, like, let's do this. And so I don't know if I do a separate show, you're welcome to be there, Garrett, but like different name, or if we do this, I don't know yet how that's going to work out. But
yeah,
I had floated that with Dave last time I was in Dallas. Like, dude, we should do something. And he circled back and was like, yeah, let's do it. So I don't know if that'll just be like in the regular programming that we've been doing every week and throwing on other people and or something. I don't know yet, but it's coming together, brother. I'm excited.
Yeah.
It's gonna be cool, and I hope people enjoy it. I'm really not interested in much, but having fun with fun people and stuff like that. It's just too competitive out there, and I think if you can do good shit, like that's what you do. It's not
exactly.
about getting
show
a
got what
contract.
numbers, who's got this.
I just don't care. If people are here and they know and they have fun, great, awesome.
Good.
Like that's really, I know Drew gets hung up on the numbers, in my opinion, and he just doesn't need to. It doesn't fucking matter. They don't. I don't know. Maybe that's said because it's my defense mechanism for not having massive numbers. But Jay always wanted to know how many people, and I was just like, yeah, whatever, man, whatever
we got.
Whoever's here is cool with me, man.
Well, we're on the topic of talking about friends. Anthony Tincher actually wanted to pop in and say, have you talked to Mark about the election yet?
No, I haven't. Why is Mark not taking it well?
I don't know.
Oh no, Mark will be just fine. It's funny, all you guys. So many people reach out to me and they make some snide remark about Mark being a liberal, and he's some fucking. My impression of Mark is he hasn't really changed much. Maybe he has. I don't listen a ton. I don't listen to much, but when he was over with me, it was like people made me nervous. Like, oh boy, good luck with Fellhauer. And I'm like, I don't know. He made me laugh. He was the same. And maybe if I got on the wrong topic, but he's a U of M grad, always
Yeah.
kind of been,
No,
that
I think
dude.
they razz him about it. That's all it is. They're not
Yeah.
hateful, but they're just giving him shit for
Oh
being a
yeah, busting
supporter.
balls.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's kind of what we do.
Yeah.
But yeah, I was pleasantly surprised. And I don't know why. I think it was just because it's hard to get the context and the feel of people's comments instead of talking to them. But so
Yeah.
many people have said that, like, oh, I wonder how Fellhauer feels about that. And it's like, Jesus Christ, is Fellhauer trying to trans his children? What's going on over there? But there's no way he can sit with Drew day in and day out
Yeah.
and not and put on some facade. So I don't know. No, but to answer your question there, sir, and thank you for the question. I've not talked to Mark about the election. I'm assuming he wasn't a Trump fan. But I don't know. I don't know. It's okay. To all the
Yeah.
people that were not Trump fans, it's like, we got it from here. We'll take it from here.
Yeah.
Well,
Don't
don't
worry.
worry.
We're
Your
sorry you were
country's in good
lied to,
hands.
but don't worry. You'll be here soon.
See, Mark knows better, though. He knows better.
Yeah. He's in
He
media.
should. He's worked in it long enough to be able to see through a lot of the shit. But teach his own, and we can start there with the so much of the problem is that media. And we didn't get to the story yesterday about MSNBC, CNN, their ratings and what's going. They're going to start gutting people. I don't know. A lot of people are running with it. If you pay attention, they're like, Anderson Cooper, Wolf Blitzer. Chris Matthews. I think that was his name. Chris Matthews was he the guy that was at Fox and then went to CNN, and he's going to dip his toe into podcasting now. It's like, yeah, you're 77. Good luck with
Sure.
that. Was that his name? Fuck, I don't.
Yep. Chris
But
Matthews.
I don't think they necessarily mean chopping the heads off all their talent. I don't think that's what they mean when they're talking about trimming everything. Jake Tapper. It's just absurd the amount of money these guys are paid just because they're on a network. I think Anderson Cooper makes upwards of $20 million.
That's what I've heard. Yeah.
Yeah, Jake Tapper's in the vicinity of $8 to $10 million a year. I mean, if you look at the breakdown on Rachel Maddow's salary, it's ridiculous. Ridiculous.
Yeah.
It doesn't make sense in any fucking real world.
And
Their
especially
numbers
when
aren't there.
they're paying out that kind of money for just to get beat out by multiple podcasts with maybe a budget of $100.
Yeah, it's just there's so much overhead. There's so much that goes into producing those types of shows. The amount of writers, producers, floor director, talent booking, like there's so much sales departments, marketing arms, like there's so much that goes into it. And if you can have a compelling discussion, Garrett and I just sit here and shoot the shit, go over some news stories. It doesn't take. Joe Rogan is the perfect example. Joe
Yeah.
Rogan's the perfect example. Like, you don't need all that overhead in a digital world, and they're trying to come to terms with that. The problem that so many of these people are having, and I'm just so thankful that they're losing this debate. They're losing this exclusivity on the narrative and message. CNN a couple days ago, it might have been now, had Michael Singleton on. He argued with Jay Michelson, and Jay Michelson is the problem that you see with so many of these people over the importance of culture war issues and deciding the election. They're trying to break down like what happened. Can't just come to the realization that you cannot get cool by forcing cool. Like, you end up looking like the joke of the Amy Poehler. Hey, I'm the cool mom. It, like, that's what we laugh at. Authenticity is what breeds coolness. There's an authenticity to Joe Rogan that people gravitate towards. Stuffing a stuffed shirt on a panel talking about what happened with this election, no, it's very simple. No one bought your shit. Authenticity
Exactly.
dies, you die. It's kind of as simple as that. And when you give people the option of authenticity or the fakeness that all of that is what you get. It's why the Drew and Mike show worked so well. If you looked in there, it was, a handful of guys and a girl wearing jeans and t-shirts just talking about the real world like real people do, like
Yeah.
you experience in your real world existence with people. And I do too, you know? We don't shame each other or look sideways at each other when we don't think a camera's on us or a microphone's in front of us, when we say something off color or make some smart ass remark about this or this part of who you are. Like, we don't treat each other like that, but these people do. These people hold some moral high ground and they're going to look down on you. And do we have the video? And it's about the trans issue.
Yeah.
So this was the thing that, Trump's voters were fooled into falling, believing, this narrative. But go ahead. Why don't we watch the discussion between them?
A lot of families out there who don't believe boys should play girls' sports.
They're not boys. I'm not going to listen to transphobia at this table. I am not going to listen to you call a trans girl a boy.
Are you going to allow me to finish my explanation?
When you use
words as a slur, I'm going to interrupt. That's not how it is. They're not boys. They're not boys. They're not playing girls' softball.
You're not a boy.
I'm not going to sit there and
Let's reset
listen
for a
to that.
second because, look, this is a really heated issue, right? And Michael, I know you. I know that you understand that people have different views on this. I think out of respect,
They're doing it to the
Jay,
black guy now.
like, let's try to talk about this in a way that is respectful.
Okay, so let me rephrase this since I'm being targeted here.
I don't.
There-
You're
no,
not.
no,
To be clear, you are not being
But I
targeted.
am, but it's okay.
I'm specifically
It's okay.
saying that I know that you are not intending to be transphobic.
He should know that I'm not. But he wants to sit here
I'm not
and
calling you
bloviate
transphobic.
and
I'm
make
saying
you
you're
to-
using
I
a
want-
phrase.
I wanna give
signal.
you an
No.
opportunity
Call them out.
the way regular
reframe
people
this.
interpret it.
That's not
which is why
regular
those
people.
ads were
That's
effective.
not regular people.
There's no consensus that these are actually boys. This whole thing about trans girls is a canard. We're talking about a tiny, tiny sliver of the population.
That may be the
and we're
case,
using
but
that
my point in
to
terms
take
of
away
its
healthcare from
effectiveness.
thousands
Just
of people.
hold on. Just get to your point.
My point in terms of its effectiveness.
Okay, that's good enough. It kind of shows you what you see on so many of these panels that historically people did watch. You'd have robust debate, and I have no problem with someone having an opinion, someone having another opinion, left, right, liberal, conservative, whatever you want to do. That's fine. There's space for that. But what Mr. McMichael there, the guy that was outrageously offended, like, oh my God, how could anybody say boys and girls sport? Like,
We don't know if they're actually boys.
It's a tactic that he's doing there to end the debate, essentially.
Yeah.
Because grown adults should absolutely be able to sit down together and discuss something that a lot of American families have an opinion on. This is new in the world of, like, how do we navigate this? How do because believe me, there are a lot of people out there that are like, if you have a daughter that's a toddler and it's like, okay, what do I do? What do I do if all of a sudden, a rival school has a trans girl who's gone through puberty, or a trans boy, who's now a girl who's gone through puberty and wants to be on the soccer team? With like those are adult conversations that should be able to be had on a panel like that.
And not the understate it, but it's one of those things where also it was kind of just a joke up until recently, where it was like, oh, here comes the Russian team, and it was always a dude in a wig.
Right. Ladybugs, wasn't that a story, a plot line in it might have been a Rodney Dangerfield movie? Was that what the, am I thinking the right one?
Boys play as girls in a soccer team.
Well, it's one boy, and he dominates all the girls, obviously, like you would expect. The boy joins the team, puts on a wig, and then the movie, if it's the one I'm thinking of, as the movie goes on, he starts to feel bad about the lie that he's living, and now he's going to quit the team and be honest with people towards the end of the movie when the big game's coming, right? The championship game.
Yeah.
Can the girls muster up the strength to win against the better team, even without the boy pretending to be a girl on the team? And then, of course, they do. Big heroes ending. I believe that's how that goes. Classic storyline, hero arc in a movie in Hollywood that would make sense. There's much comedy you can derive from that plot line in a Hollywood movie. Awkward moments where a boy pretending to be a girl is surrounded by girls, and the discussions they're having, and the what happens in the locker room when they all change for the first time and are talking about wearing bras, like all of that shit comes into the comedy of it.
Exactly. And that's why it's like one of those things where now it's like, now you have to take it seriously. And if you trip up, you're fucked.
Yeah, right.
You're a transphobe.
Which is disingenuous. People are absolutely allowed to have these conversations, these concerns, these fears. I mean, it's no different than if you just discount someone and tell them they're phobic in some level and their problems don't matter, like that's not going to play well.
No.
The problem I have with Mr. Michelson, like he can absolutely have his opinion, and if you are an honest debater, you would let this guy who did not go, these fucking chicks with dicks that want to play in games, like then he'd have a right to go, hey, you're just being mean here, okay? You're being an asshole to be an asshole. That's not what Shermichael did in that panel debate about a topic that is something that mattered to a lot of Americans. There's a reason why if you lived in a battleground state, you were inundated with the she's for they, them, and he's for you commercials. Yeah. And I don't even need to describe the commercial because you all know what it was. You all saw it because it was something that was kind of important to people, no matter how much you try to paint it as a sliver of society. Like it was something that it has bigger implications. And in its infancy, these discussions need to be taking place about how you navigate through some of this stuff.
Exactly.
The rest in that situation there, that panel that's sitting around there is put in an unwinnable situation. This baby who can't have a grown-up adult conversation with another grown-up adult in the room with a moderator sitting there going, up, your turn to talk now, your turn to talk now. She's just kind of the referee. No. You and the panel around there is all kind of looking down like, oh God. Now they know they are currently on camera and this is going to be a clip that's dominating social media.
Yeah.
Either way. So they are left with the position of either ignoring the tantrum being taken place and acting like, what? How could anybody have this opinion? They and potentially paying a price for ignoring that, not saying anything. And that price can be finishing your career on Rumble or being sent to the Siberia of social media, Truth Social, and you're not welcome in the inner circle anymore. That's a reality some people deal with. You can tell him to grow up, and that will mean you're immediately not welcome in broadcast circles anymore. You are announcing you're starting a podcast at that point. If you were to go, hey, bro, grow the fuck up. We're trying to have an adult conversation here. There's that option. Or there's the third option, which is to virtue signal to the woke mob that you also will not tolerate this kind of extremism at the panel. Either way, a rational conversation is fucking gone.
Yeah.
And so since that's the garbage they're shoving down people's throats on CNN and MSC and NBC at the moment, you are stuck going to places like this where we can have a reasonable conversation about stuff like this.
Yeah.
And continue to have those conversations. Because making parents or anybody feel like they've lost their mind isn't the way to do it. Or thinking that they're somehow sexist or homophobic, transphobic, racist. None of that is going to work. It's not going to work.
Especially not any of those like ist terms that are very, very detrimental to somebody's like livelihood, their well-being, and their job. Even it's like,
right,
you can't throw those at people and not expect them to not take you seriously and come back.
And the truth of the matter too is, if you try to find stories and you want to do more education for yourself on some of this stuff, they're not easy to find. Google's not your friend. So High Court in the UK upholds the government ban on puberty blockers. So, some people I don't care about the subject. It matters though. It matters when you're talking about this stuff, when you're talking about a panel being put together. So when these stories are being buried and you need to do extra homework to find them, that's a problem. These stories should be the lead on news. Like, hey, look at this information we're finding out about this story. This should be part of the conversation as well. High Court judge upheld the British government's emergency ban on puberty blockers, saying a study found that very substantial risks and very narrow benefits of the treatment supported the restriction as potentially being harmful. Justice Beverly Lang said a review commissioned by England's National Health Service, you may know it as the NHS, concluded that gender care is an area of remarkably weak science, and young people have been caught up in a stormy social discourse. Therein lies the problem. The group Transactual and a youth who cannot be named under a court order sought to challenge the decision from former Health Secretary Victoria Atkins to ban prescribing hormones that can cause the development of puberty. They are prescribed to help children with gender dysphoria by giving them more time to consider options that could include gender reassignment. The judge threw out the challenge, saying the ban was lawful. The ban restricts the NHS from providing the medication outside of clinical trials and prevents it from being prescribed by private suppliers. The NHS stopped prescribing puberty blockers last year, saying there was not enough evidence about the benefits and the harms. Che Brown, healthcare director for Transactual, said the government decided to ban the blockers and then found ways to justify it. We are seriously concerned about the safety and welfare of young trans people in the UK. Over the last few years, they have come to view the UK medical establishment as paying lip service to their needs and all too happy to weaponize their very existence in pursuit of a now discredited culture war. Hardly discredited culture war, by the way.
Oh, yeah.
You can claim that all you want. You can try to. You might even believe it, but it's far from that. Far from that. Health Secretary Wes Streeting said he welcomed the ruling. He said he was working with the NHS to set up a clinical trial on puberty blockers. Children's health care must be evidence-led. We must therefore act cautiously and with care when it comes to this vulnerable group of young people. So that's what's going on in the UK, and it's hard to find those stories, unfortunately. I asked Google, about some of these studies going on in European countries and stuff, and Google was just like, you sure you don't want to see something on how cool Kamala Harris is? I think. Wait,
are you trying to transition? Do you want to transition?
Do you want to transition? Let me point you to a doctor that can give you all the pills you need.
Yep.
And you could do it through the mail. Are you sure? And I'm like, no, Google. I'm looking for some of the studies that have come out in England and some of the ones in the United States. Wasn't there one in the United States recently that there's some debate about? And it's like, I'm like, pretty sure, Google, is there something out there? And Google was just like, sure you don't want something about equating Trump to Hitler? Because I got lots of those for you. And I was like, oh, Google, forget it. And I went to Twitter and found it immediately. And it's this one. I found this story. And the problem with this, too, is you don't get pages of stories when you do find them on Google. What you find is I found this one editorial from the New York Post, and then I found a New York Times story behind a paywall, and then one from a Christian website. This seems like a story that would be of interest to families in America. That's all I'm saying. The fact that it's not the lead on the news every night seems a bit odd as far as something like this goes. So why are the National Institutes of Health-backed doctors hiding data from a near decade-long study on gender-based medical interventions for children? Because as study lead, Dr. Johanna Olson Kennedy admitted in a recent bombshell New York Times interview, the results did not prove what she hoped they would prove, namely that puberty blockers and similar treatments improve kids' mental health. I do not want our work to be weaponized, Olson Kennedy said. That is to inform the scientific and political debates over transing kids. That is a shocking statement. So in other words, what she's saying is the truth of our decade-long study is damaging to my argument. This is health good for kids' mental health.
Yeah.
The study said the opposite of that after a decade of trials. And so this truth, this reality hurts her argument. And so she doesn't want to let people know that. And the mainstream media is fine, just fine going, don't know what you're talking about. Google is just fine when I seek out that story and going, you sure you didn't want to see something about 1939 Germany and how similar it is to 2024 in America? You sure that's not what you were looking for? It's fucking disgusting. We should be grateful the good doctor has unveiled the ugly truth at the heart of the gender industrial complex, Ms. Kennedy. And I don't know if that, I'm assuming, kind of like Rick Levine, this is a dude who is now a woman. I will call her a woman, whatever she wants. I don't know who Johanna Olsen Kennedy is. My guess is that person is way too close to this project making statements like that and is probably a trans individual. Kind of like Rick Levine.
Picture, yes.
Yeah, I haven't even seen her. I don't know. It doesn't matter. The research is what matters. What's that, Garrett? I'm sorry.
Trying to see if this. Oh, I was trying to see if this is the person, but I can't get past the New York Times paywall, and I'm not paying them shit.
Yeah.
It's her. It's Kate.
Can you find it? Can you find a picture of this lady? Is it just a lady?
Just the lady.
Yeah. So that's supposed to be a lady. So that's who's in charge of the study. Shock. Olsen Kennedy is a hardcore advocate of hormones first, questions later.
That's how you fuck somebody up for life.
Yeah, it sure is. She's in the vanguard of experts appearing in court to stop states from keeping these treatments restricted to adults. And now she's found data that contradict her fundamental thesis, i.e., that kids need to be given these life-altering medicines early and often. No problem at all. Simply hide the results indefinitely and brag to the Times about it. Doctors like Olsen Kennedy don't care about science or helping kids and families or getting to the truth of a difficult subject. They love power. They're medical authoritarians. Worse still, Olsen Kennedy holds a high position at the Children's Hospital Los Angeles in its trans youth clinic. How can someone with such blatant disregard of basic ethics continue in any clinical medical position? She needs to be kept as far away from treating people as possible. She is deliberately and openly withholding data crucial for her professional colleagues and the families seeking their advice. I'm so sorry, families, if you're going through this. That is awful to have data like this hidden from you when you, with the purest of intentions, who wouldn't want to do something for their child if they think their child is in crisis, and going to medical experts who are going to just fucking take this decade-long study and throw it out the window to further their agenda on something. And
not just further their agenda, they get a lot of money. They get a lot of money off the kickbacks on selling those pills, the surgeries, anything that comes with being trans.
Oh, she gets her funds for the project from a pot of $10 million in taxpayer cash as well, which only doubles and redoubles her obligation to publish all the data in full transparency for people. Taxpayers are paying for this data. It's your job to be as criminally transparent, overly transparent in something like that. A British study in 2016 also found that such interventions did nothing, zero, to help kids' mental health. Findings that weren't made public until 2020, 4 years too late, after the treatments had become standard. That's why all of it's being reversed now in the UK, which is unfortunately further down the medical road than we are in America. God only knows how many children's lives were altered for the worse in the interim. Horrifically, the interview also suggests that Olsen Kennedy may have lied about her work. Her preliminary findings allegedly saw about 25% of the kids included in the study dealing with mental health issues. Now she tells the Times this isn't the case, with no explanation as to why. Whatever happens with her, remember this: only blind ideologues see reality as a weapon wielded against them. Actual scientists embrace it. Here's hoping the truth sets these families, sets free the families people like Olsen Kennedy have lied to. You know, It's just unbelievable. It's so unfair. But this, it goes to the guy, Jay Michelson or whatever, who's a gay guy himself and is, standing on his whatever, another one of these Harvard graduates who's a professor. I'm almost getting tired of hearing from fucking professors, at this point. They're supposed to be the smarter ones in the room, but they can't seem to get out of their own way. And the fact is, you need to use that defense, because if you had a real argument for your side, you wouldn't need to act like a toddler. You wouldn't need to go la 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 la. You would have actual factual evidence. It's why it's so disturbing that this is getting a free pass everywhere it's getting. If you had good arguments, you would be able to take on Charlie Kirk.
Yeah.
You shouldn't be dominated in an argument by these people. You should welcome them on your panels, on your shows. They're going to independent media because that's the only place that'll have them. And so half the country's getting informed on some shit, and the other half is playing this fucking game they're doing on CNN.
Well, unfortunately, that half is getting smaller and smaller.
Yeah, it sure is. Yeah, it sure is. But I'm reading this article from Jay Michelson. Again, Harvard graduate professor who knows everything.
Obviously, they know more than.
The problem I have with so many of these people, and I know some of these people that are really smart. They really are. And when you do that right and you become an expert in something in a field, a lot of those people seem to have trouble not thinking they're smarter than everybody regarding every subject. And 3 words that these people don't seem to understand is, I don't know. That's what I run into time and time again with people, where simply going, I don't know, man. I don't know. I'm not an expert in that. I have no idea.
Constantly
is gone from their vocabulary. It's like, well, let me explain to you what. And it's like,
no, that's why Joe Rogan has gotten so far as he has. His whole show is him going, I don't know. That's why I brought you here. Talk to me.
That's why you're here.
Ask the questions that you want to ask, because it's like a dumb guy just asking questions that actually get good information back.
Yeah.
And that's what I like about the show is it's like, hey, I'd ask that question.
It's the way you should do it. It's the way it's supposed to be done. Take someone on in their field that's expert and let them go. But, no. Jay Michelson knows everything. And so I was like, it led me to go, who the fuck is this guy? I don't know who this guy is that's having a toddler-like tantrum who's got to stick both fingers in his ears when someone goes, yeah, parents around the country at dinner are having discussions about putting boys and girls, biological boys and girls sports. And I'm not going to stand for this transphobia in my friend. Who's with me? Where's the mob when I need them?
And I don't know where the argument was before that, but usually when somebody doesn't have a good argument back, they'll find the one thing they can latch on and just double it, go.
Yeah. Sure.
So if it's just he misgendered, that's where he's going to double down. It's the only spot he's got.
Yeah, right. Instead of just having a sit back and have a reasonable debate, this is a great conversation to have multiple experts in fields on. It really is. It's the smart thing to do. It's the honest thing to do. And it's, why it's so disturbing to me is because, believe it or not, there was a time, Garrett, you probably were too young, when you could actually do that kind of thing. And it's been taken over. But here's Jay's article, and no one's going to tell him he's wrong because he's smarter than everybody. He knows more than everybody. And I'm reading this article from him. I just looked it up. Of course, he's an author. By now, every pundit in America has their own 24 election take, mostly confirming their prior opinions. Oh, like you, not like you, though. Not confirming any of your prior opinions. You seem like an honest debater, Jay. Every Republican has a take, too, which is that Americans voted resoundingly for whatever the policy that Republicans care about. From opposition to trans rights to support for prayer in school. And of course, progressives, especially younger ones, have every right to feel afraid, angry, or alienated. Yeah, Jay, you've gone out of your way to gin all these people up with a narrative, and it's worked. It's worked. They look to you for guidance. What's that?
Do you see what he's a professor in?
What? Gender studies?
No, Jewish law and Jewish studies.
Yeah, at where? Harvard? Is it Harvard? Yeah.
Look at them.
Yeah, but the data tells a specific story, not a choose your own adventure, and that is swing voters voted mostly out of economic insecurity and discontent. They actually liked Kamala Harris more than Donald Trump. Really, Jay? You're going to go with that one? People liked Kamala Harris more than Donald Trump. Okay.
Especially in the election where she lost popular and electoral.
Yeah.
Oh, man, she must have been hated.
He knows, though. He knows. But Harris was the incumbent, and incumbents don't win elections when people think the economy is bad. So he's going to do the same stupid argument that everybody's doing, like, the incumbent governments around the world lost COVID. And so Trump, no one really likes Trump. It's just that incumbents lost everywhere. That's the argument they're going to go with, that there wasn't really a MAGA thing or a Trump movement, or people felt the authenticity of that movement. No, it's just that, this happened everywhere. Nothing to see here. That's the argument they're going to make. If, like me, you're being kept awake at night. No, not really, Jay. That's just you. But okay, I'll go with you here. Thinking about this election, this explanation helps. Yes, people were willing to put up with Trump's criminality, coup attempts, and extreme xenophobia. And that is still terrible. Many were also on board with scapegoating immigrants for our economic woes, which is factually preposterous, as it is preposterous as it is morally offensive. But they didn't vote for MAGA. They didn't vote against women or wokeness or coastal elites or climate regulation or government regulation in general, or queer people, not directly anyway. They voted against the incumbent party. That's the argument they're going to make. I think he's wrong on all. I think the fact that he puts in writing Trump's criminality, okay, the coup attempts, extreme xenophobia. What he's talking about there is Trump's criminality, which, thank God, I've never been prouder of my countrymen that they saw that for what it was. They saw the jurisdictions around this country that you put those cases in, knowing the result that you would get, and you weaponized the Justice Department. That's why those cases have all failed when you got 5 minutes down the road, and why Jack Smith is walking away from them all. He could absolutely continue that case in 4 years when Trump leaves the office. And but it'll be irrelevant then. So this shit is falling apart. So that Trump's criminality, they love having that sword. But the vast majority of people saw that for exactly what it was. Half the people were fine with the weaponization of that because it meant going after the guy they hate the most. That is a dangerous place to be in for us. Period.
Well, no, I proved the other day that you can pretty much say anything, and liberals will agree with you if they think you're attacking somebody they don't like.
Right.
Because I used gay
it's
as
a weird
an insult.
Standard.
I literally posted. I said, voting for Trump is gay, and it was just my little I voted sticker. And then in the comment, I put, also I'm gay.
Yeah.
Nobody read past the first part where I said voting for Trump is gay, and all my liberal friends were liking it, giving it the little thumbs up, commenting, and whatever.
Yeah.
And I was like,
you're missing
first of all, you didn't read, and also I used gay as an insult, which I thought wasn't okay. Why is this okay now?
Yeah. Well, you're on the right team, so it doesn't. We're okay with it. The coup attempts, hilarious. January 6th. If you bothered to do a little digging into January 6th, you would know what that was. I don't get too much into it here. I don't need to go down the rabbit hole too far. But if you think that was a coup attempt, and as Jimmy Dore says, wait. A bunch of Second Amendment gun nuts showed up, and God damn it, if they didn't all forget their guns on coup day. Like,
I left them all here.
Shit. Of all days to fucking plumb forget my gun. It was on the coup attempt day. Hilarious. So, sir. Yeah, Jay, you can gin yourself up into with all your fucking wine and cheese parties into believing that a coup attempt went on. That was the worst, most comical coup attempt in the history of coup attempts. But again, it will gin up a certain amount of the population, and that's who he's talking to. Extreme xenophobia. Yeah, having someone who doesn't want unknown, unvetted people
Not
from
just-
across the globe flooding your border in the millions doesn't make you an extreme xenophobe.
Yeah, it's not even just that. Like, nobody in Springfield, Ohio wants 30,000 of anybody dropped on them. They can't
No.
handle that in their population.
No.
Doesn't matter the color, race, creed. It's just the amount of people that you're bringing in where we can't sustain that.
Yes. And the fact is it goes well beyond like, hey, you know, a lot of the industry moved out of this area and now that it's sort of back, we needed workers, blah blah blah, and these people fill but like it still is catastrophic when you have a small town to inundate it with people that, you know, no offense to anybody, but don't speak the language. It's not their first language.
And it's not their fault.
Think about what that does in a classroom. If you go from 20 pupils to 35 pupils, of which 15 of them don't speak the language, it slows down everything. Think about your social services, what it does to 911, hospital visit. Like there's social services when you need help and you're relying on government assistance. Like there's so much more at play than simply brown people are bad. Get them out of my country, America.
It's
like that's not the argument.
It's not just adding Spanish on the menu everywhere. It's these people are coming in from all over the world because our border is so insecure that it's different African dialects. It's a lot of Chinese. It's a lot of fucking every form of South American.
If Jay looked at the statistics of the 160 countries of citizens that are flooding your borders, you know, so, but yeah, let's just throw it in a generality for an article in one of your fucking woke papers to act like, yeah, we all agree, right? The coup attempt, the criminality.
You're extremely racist and xenophobic.
Extreme xenophobia. Like, yeah, I got a problem with that, Jay. I know if I tried to discuss any of this with you, you would go, I'm not putting up with any of this extreme xenophobia. Not on my watch. Not on my watch. Kind of like you did on the CNN panel. So yeah, the shockwaves from COVID-19 pandemic, inflation, empty shelves, housing prices are global. And this is a global trend. Everywhere in the world, voters have chosen to throw the bastards out because of the economy. Yeah, because of how you behaved during the economy and during COVID, right? You printed $6 trillion. When you print $6 trillion and dump it into the economy, it causes inflation, dipshit.
Yeah,
that's what you're dealing with. Locking kids out of schools for 2 years. Hold on, Garrett. Locking kids out of school for 2 years has this effect. Like, this is the problem they had, was all your wokeness going so fucking far that you got people to wear paper masks on their face for 2 years and shamed them if they didn't, and then demanded they take a fucking vaccine, or they're not welcome in polite society, Jay. That's what people fought back against.
Well, speaking on the economy too, it's not only like they tell us the Dow Jones went up, 15%, but so is inflation at the same exact rate. The money isn't worth shit.
Even more.
Yeah. I think what are we up 17, 18 now?
People need to understand different economies too, because a lot of people will tell you the economy's never been better. And it's like, yeah, sure. If you're part of the 15 or 50% that's in the S&P 500 and has stocks and all that kind of stuff, well, there's a whole other group of people that don't live in that world, and they just see the reality of higher prices everywhere and stagnating wages. That's the reality they live in. And you don't care about those people, Jay. So I don't think any Democrat could have won this election. Maybe if there were a Bernie Sanders like outsider figure, different enough from Biden and Harris to not seem like a continuation and possessed of Trump-like abilities to tune into the grievances and alienation of working class people. That person could have won. Biden himself, before his cognitive decline, had those qualities. He was known as Scranton Joe. Hilarious.
No.
Invented Scranton Joe. No. And when did he have his cognitive abilities? 2010? What are you talking about, Jay? You're not going to actually try, because we could all see the initial stages of whatever he's dealing with, Parkinson's, dementia. It was crystal clear when he won the first time around. That was obvious to some of us paying attention. Of course, there's still much to be deeply concerned about. American voters voted for a candidate promising mass deportations. Yeah, he literally said it out loud, ran on it, and won in a landslide because of it. So you're not going to be able to fearmonger people with that reality. You broke it. Now someone else has to fix it. Sorry, it might look bad. And depending on how your media spins it, it might look worse than it needs to look. But that's the fucking reality we're stuck dealing with now.
It's going to be kids in cages all over again. You know, when they took those photos from the Obama administration and said Trump did it.
Of course. Shit's about to get very real very soon. And quick history lesson. The Nazi Party was voted into power in 1932 largely because of economic discontent. Once in power, parties do what they want to do, not what the voters actually voted for. Oh, so we're back to Hitler again.
Do these motherfuckers not realize that our entire government was built to not have that ability for one person to take over?
Yeah. No, they know that, except when it comes to Orange Man for some reason.
Obviously, he can just use the exception to that rule. You know, that rule that's been there since 1776.
And by the way, parties have been elected out of government through economic woes throughout human history. Yeah. That's a reason to do it. This is, again, what the water causes cancer argument is what that is, right? Hitler brushed his teeth just like Trump. So the fact that Trump's brushing his teeth must mean he's Hitler too. Like, it's just so stupid. Economic woes. Yeah. So economic woes in the 30s in Germany is why Hitler.
They were busy paying for World War I.
It just doesn't. It's just, you know, everybody who drinks water also got cancer. So does that mean people that water causes cancer? Is that the takeaway? Because that's the argument he's making. Trump and his allies are likely to enact another wave of tax cuts for the wealthiest 0.1% of Americans, the exact opposite of populism, to help for the working class. They got the working class got tax cuts too, Jay. So you know, ask an economist how the working class how their taxes were given a break as well. So I don't want to sugarcoat anything. I also don't want to suggest that swing voters took a clear look at the two sides and made some rational, informed decision. They did not. Right-wing media like Fox News, right-wing influencers like Elon Musk, and supposedly independent figures like Joe Rogan all ignored or minimized Trump's past misdeeds, lied about immigration crime, exaggerated the evils of wokeness, glossed over abject racism. Okay, it's looking clearer and clearer that extreme wokeism is nothing but pure evil. Sorry to tell you that. Good-intentioned, well-intentioned people, but you use it as a weapon is what you do. Trump's felonies, you're talking about the accounting error 34 times once a month for 34 months. You're talking about that felony that you made into a felony after the statute of limitations. Talking about that one. That was done, and it had the purpose of doing just this, so that smart-ass, smarmy, smug, entitled elitists like Jay Michelson can call him a convicted felon. That's all. That won't even exist in another year either, Jay.
No, it's just so you can bullshit get the title on him. That's it.
That people saw through. Sorry, Jay. Sorry to tell you, but most
not only that,
saw through that shit too.
They martyred him with that because now he was the convicted felon. Now he could definitely speak to a lot of the other guys who really want to say in this country. He, in the mugshot alone, caused so much just popular street credit to him.
Oh yeah,
almost won that election. Before he got shot.
You mean making someone a target and going after them all guns a-blazing for 9 straight years had the reverse effect. Jay, it didn't on Jay. Jay's eating all this shit up, all of it. He's there. Can I get another helping, sir? Tell me more about how bad he is. This idea, abject racism. First off, racism exists. We all acknowledge racism exists. The problem is what you call abject racism, some might just call jokes. Some might call fucking around. Guys know what is ball busting, Jay. You wouldn't know anything about that. But I bust Garrett's balls all the time about liking cock. All the time.
That's what I'm here for.
Here's the truth. I really like Garrett as a person. Okay? That's fact. I don't give a shit. I don't give a shit who Garrett dates, marries, sleep. I don't care. It's still funny to me, and I'm still going to bust his balls. He's going to bust my balls about being old. He's going to, like, all kinds of shit. It's what guys do, Jay. You should get a couple guys in your life. It's unbelievable. And
he
this
has a couple
idea,
guys in his life. They're black and they're usually behind him.
See, that was a joke, Jay. That was a joke. That wasn't racist or
no. I tried to include the race because I didn't want him to seem racist.
Yeah, that wasn't racist or gayophobic or whatever you call it nowadays. What he did right there was it was called being a smartass, Jay.
Gayophobic.
Yeah, I can't remember what it's called.
Homophobic. I gotcha. Gayophobic.
It's my term, and I'll use it.
Exactly.
So yeah, they didn't look at Trump's felonies and mental health and voted for him anyway because of the price of eggs. They were bamboozled. Okay, so that shot is we're all too stupid to know what we voted for, right? That's what he's saying there. We're not all living in this elitist air like Jay Michelson is. So we were all just too stupid and bamboozled by a dumb guy who's just a career master criminal. Starting at age 76, he turned into a master criminal. The reality of the 24 election that swing voters voted for one thing, but Trump will deliver something else, does mean those swing voters are soon to be let down, even enraged. Ultimately, there's likely to be backlash. Again, you're too stupid to know what you voted for. That's the takeaway there. Americans have fucked around with fascism and are now going to find out what it really looks like. And while MAGA vulgarians like Jesse Waters, Fox's Jesse Waters, think mass deportations will be hysterical, in fact, they will be traumatic. Unfortunately, you're right. What this prior administration did at the border was so catastrophic that it's probably going to be traumatizing for a lot of decent Americans who understand having to undo what was done. It sucks. I wish we weren't in that position. Yeah. Sorry, Jay, we are.
Well, recently there's this has been floating around. I found it on a more right-leaning site, but this little map right here of the country, if you had to have a college degree to vote, this is what it would have looked like.
Have you seen the map too, where no voter ID is required?
Yep, I've seen that one too. I'll find that.
Yeah. No voter ID required. And what do you know?
Oh, they're all blue.
Yeah. MSNBC's ratings have absolutely shit the bed. Okay. From this time a year ago. So Alex Wagner tonight, All In with Chris Hayes, The Last Word with Lawrence O'Donnell dropped 54%. Yeah, there's your non-photo ID states.
Convenient.
How crazy how that works. By the way, voter ID to vote is something that has approval of 80% of citizens in America.
Yeah.
If anyone cares. So yeah, it goes on and on. The reason I'm personally so happy about the way this election turned out at the end of the day isn't because a Republican won. It's not because of a conservative government that I'm some guy rooting for the conservative party. I've never been that in my life. The reason I'm so happy about this outcome is because the amount of fucking lying that these corporations, corporate elites have done to gaslight good Americans, too many of them saw through it. Yep. Too many of them saw through it. And the fact of the matter is, man, I don't know if I'll ever forgive these people for what they've done to people I care about, friends of mine, family members of mine, former coworkers of mine.
I've lost best friends.
Yeah. It's tragic. These people it's through no fault of their own. These are good people. A lot of them. Some of the ones that scream the loudest have been gaslit to a level. It's a rigged game stacked against them. It's unfair and it's so easy. Why wouldn't you trust these outlets that you've been your whole life been able to on some level trust? There's always been some level of propagandizing. What has taken place over the last decade is evil, in my opinion. You can have your disagreements with people. You can. There's nothing wrong with that. Taking people that are experts in policy and are government wonks and putting them on a panel and debating the intricacies and what they think might be the reality of how this policy would play out versus going this way with a policy. I have no problem with that. Most of it's boring, in the weeds. We don't talk about it much. But what these people have done to good, hardworking Americans who absolutely love their country, I'll say it again, and I would encourage you to think the same way about these people. You know these people. I've dated these people. I have grown up with these people. I know how much they love their country, and they've been gaslit and gaslit and gaslit over and over and over. They've tweaked details to fit a narrative. And this is 100% an elitist, oligarchist attitude above the rest of you. And it's fucking sad. It's crippling to our nation. And, I'm grateful because I think a message was sent, and these people are going to have a hard time getting back to the level of power, and they cost themselves. They've cost themselves. Where it used to just be fun to play Joy Reid going on some fucking rant about how everybody's racist. That's just fun. It's been too damaging to the psyche and the mental health of too many fucking Americans, good-hearted, hardworking Americans out there, into thinking that, men hate women all of a sudden and, are going to take away your rights and your institutions. And Trump's never going to leave office. He's never don't have to worry about that. Trump is not sticking around. And in fact, it's kind of funny. It's probably not the right time right now to be doing this, but Trump joked about serving more terms as president. Do you think he's fucking with people?
He's 100% fucking with them.
He got laughs from the Republicans in Congress when he said he probably wasn't running in 28 unless they do something. He jokes all the time. Eli Crane, a representative from Arizona, said, who was in the room at the time, I think it's one of the problems with politics. You can't even tell a joke without being excoriated. Trump has made similar comments at rallies and press conferences or press gatherings going back to at least 2019. At a 2020 rally in Wisconsin, the crowd was doing the usual chanting, 4 more years, 4 more years.
Yeah.
Trump quipped, then after that, we'll go another 4 years. The 22nd Amendment to the Constitution bars anyone from being elected president more than twice. Amending the Constitution obviously is a lengthy, time-consuming process. It's only happened 27 times in nearly 250 years. Congress could begin the process if 2/3 of the House and Senate agree to do so. Neither party holds that many seats. Trump told Time magazine in April that he would retire after his second term because I don't really have a choice. He added, I'm going to serve one term. I'm going to do a great job. We're going to have a very successful country again, and then I'm going to leave. Trump said in that interview he would not even support challenging the 22nd Amendment. Not for me. I wouldn't be in favor of that at all. I intend to serve 4 years and do a great job. That is 100%
dictator,
true.
Everybody.
What's that?
There's your dictator, everybody.
Yeah. And the fact is, if you're worried about that, nobody that I know would even be comfortable entertaining the thought like, well, he does make a point. I mean, if we could get the Senate and them to, if we could change the Constitution, I don't know anyone that feels that way, that would even it's laughable in its face. But if you've been watching mainstream media even a little bit, because most people don't consume it, they're not junkies. They get snippets. They get little bits here and there. And for those people, when you hear stuff like that, like he's going to be a dictator on day one, or he's going to assume power like a tyrant and a dictator, and he's never going to leave. When you hear that stuff, why would these people that are the trusted name in news, why would they lie to you? The fact is there would be no support for that. No one would be in favor of that. It would never happen. But Trump fucks around a lot. He jokes around. I think he needles these people on purpose. He probably turns Don Jr., check out what these people are going to do when I say this. He knows. He knows how to play these people.
It's the Covfefe. He knows what he's doing.
Yeah.
He says something, you fuck up, and he's like, all right, Bigly, Covfefe.
Bigly.
No, I think Cord actually took the words out of my mouth when he said he'll be lucky to survive 4 years.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Dude, there's an people talking about this. I'm glad he brought that up. There are people talking about, and I don't think
my theory. I don't think he's making it out of this.
I don't think this is a baseless conspiracy theory. Of people are like, there are people. If you listen to conservative media, if you listen to they're like, holy shit, man, he is really putting forth an agenda. Like, here's my 10-day plan. Here's my 3-month plan. Here's my 100-day plan. Like, he's putting a lot out there. And I got to be honest with you, I love what I'm hearing. Strip these motherfuckers of their power, their elitism, all that shit. It's gotten too big. A lot of that is going on. And the thought behind it is he's throwing all this stuff out before he even gets in, because there's a feeling like these motherfuckers are not going to end until he's dead. They are going to take him out, and he wants to get on record his plan, his agenda, his vision, all of that, so that when he is murdered out there.
Exactly.
Yeah.
There's a plan to run with. There's a reason why they did it.
Yeah. I don't know if there's any truth to that, but it's kind of wild to think about.
They already tried twice. I mean.
Yeah. Yeah. It's crazy. I mean, it does seem kind of crazy that someone that's, what do they call it when you've just been elected, but you haven't taken office yet? The president-elect. Yeah. That a president-elect is throwing this out. Maybe, I mean, I didn't pay that much attention to it before. I'm sure some of them throw out like, we're going to hit the ground running. A lot of them say stuff like that, but I don't know that this many people have put forward as much as he's putting forward, like getting it all out there. Kind of thinking I've got 2 years to get this shit out there. And then you're talking midterms and election stuff, all that stuff. But
that's what Cliff was saying. In reality, he has the first 1 to 18 months to get anything passed. That's how long he has the House and Senate.
Yeah. Yep. For sure. Yeah. It's
it all
crazy,
reminds
dude.
me of the Whitest Kids You Know Reagan sketch. I highly recommend people look it up.
What is that?
It's a little 5-minute sketch by Whitest Kids You Know. It's about the assassination attempts on Ronald Reagan.
Yeah.
But it slowly, as the sketch goes on, it gets funnier because you figure out that Bush is the one doing it. There's little blurbs like it's a little movie reel and stuff. Just factoid here. And they start to get the conspiracies.
His vice president?
Yeah, it's Bush.
H.W. Bush?
Yep.
Yeah. Well, but
it's pretty funny. It's worth a watch.
But it's funny. It's good comedy.
Yeah.
I know you like them. I'm not terribly familiar.
They're one of the best, and there's a reason why Trevor Moore was pushed off the balcony, not suicided.
I don't know who that is.
He's the head of the group.
Oh, I don't know what you're referencing, Garrett. I don't know what you're talking about. You need more explanation, and don't go too far in the weeds because you'll lose me.
They were just a comedy group that made some great sketches that called out the government, and they might have hit a little too close to the target. And the head of the group, Trevor Moore, the one who went the hardest on the target, especially after the group broke up, he ended up dying in a quote unquote suicide.
It was a suicide
off a 5th floor balcony. After some of the sketches he's made where you're like, oh shit.
Really? I mean,
oh yeah.
God, I just think of political targets as totally,
He has a really famous quick one that is about how to assassinate the president with a mortar launcher.
Yeah. Well, we don't need to play it. I don't need to suicide myself off a 5th story building.
I'll send you links later.
Yeah. Please don't. No, I'm just kidding. You can send it to me. Did you see Don Lemon is leaving X?
Oh boy.
Don Lemon's gone. One-time business partner of Elon Musk. That was hilarious. And Don could not have fucked that up anymore. He tried to CNN on Twitter was the problem. He tried to do one of those interviews that would like have the woke mob jacking off together with Elon Musk, instead of recognizing the opportunity in front of him to just like be free to speak your mind, not have to play this fucking game. And he failed miserably. I knew he would fail because Don Lemon is just not a very bright guy, especially for that kind of, when you're talking about that national level, he's just not that bright. I've said it for a decade on this show, and I thought it for many, many years before that. But that's just the reality of Don Lemon. Is he was going to struggle no matter what. Yeah. He kind of fit some quotas and became kind of unfireable for a minute there until it was just, even for them, they had to just get rid of him. I just don't think he's that good of a guy. I totally believe the story out of Martha's Vineyard by that bartender. It just, it just kind of falls in line. I know that guy took that lawsuit down, the one where he vigorously rubbed his dick and balls and then jammed it in the guy's mustache and said, "Do you like dick or do you like pussy or cock or pussy?"
Dirty Sanchez.
Yeah, sort of thing. And it just, I don't know Don Lemon well, but I have a couple anecdotal stories about him from people that do know him that don't sit well, including his behavior on the ground in Ferguson. When media, the way they were siphoned off and the way he behaved. I know that from a friend who was reporting on the boots on the ground at the time. And also when he took in, what's his name from Fox 2, and nobody knows about that.
Bill O'Reilly?
No, Fox 2, not the local Fox 2 in Detroit, the guy that got busted grooming a fucking, a kid, he was the gay guy that did the morning show, black dude, and he was on some Detroit school council or something, and he was grooming some little kid, 8 years old or something like that, with gifts and whatnot, and got caught sending inappropriate texts and shit like that. Anyways, Fox 2 blew him out, and then he kind of disappeared. Well, what was never public was that he ended up going to New York and moving in with Don Lemon. So during all that, that's how that story went. So there's just some stuff out there about Don Lemon that is not, not what the typical CNN viewer would probably get behind. Anyways, why can't I think of his name? He's fucking Dina's co-host.
I'm trying to look it up. But unfortunately, I guess one of that
is Google
Fox interview, whatever happened with Brett Mayer, whatever. I'm trying to remember his name. Sorry.
Brett Baer.
But yeah. Brett Baer. Yep. Apparently he admitted to one mistake in the entire interview, and now they're all latching onto that. So that's every single article.
Who admitted to a mistake?
Brett Baer.
He
said one. I guess he did at some point. I'm not going into the articles, but it's flooded everything when I searched Fox 2 News anchor caught grooming kid. It's just like, what about this Brett Baer? Fox News admits mistake.
Yeah, if you do Dina Senafani, Fox 2 morning co-host or something like that, maybe it would come up. Good luck spelling Senafani.
Yeah.
But yeah, Don Lemon, he announced that he's leaving X before November 15th, when a change in X's terms of service will require all disputes with the company to be moved to courts in Texas.
Charles Pugh, they got in the chat.
Chuck Pugh, thank you guys, thank you.
Chuck Pugh, Lynn B.
Yeah,
everyone got it. Cord,
Charles Pugh. That's who I'm talking about. So Don Lemon sued Musk in the Superior Court of California for the County of San Francisco, alleging Musk and his social media company of fraud, negligent misrepresentation, misappropriation of Lemon's name and likeness, breach of express contract, blah, blah, blah. And now they've moved it to California. So my guess is he's moving the company. So much of Musk's business is moving to Texas. Yeah. I think he's relocating from San Francisco. Like it's a mess up there. Someone's going to have to come in and clean that shit up. The voters have started it. The voters have cleaned house with a lot of these fucking nonsense politicians in California. They've sent a mandate too in California, from London Breed to Prop 39 about misdemeanors for crimes. Like they've sent a clear directive there, as much as California can do that. So, Don Lemon filing some bogus lawsuit against Musk in San Francisco probably doesn't look as appealing in Texas. As sad as that sounds, that, is that necessarily what's going on, that you filed this lawsuit in San Francisco hoping to get some, joke of a jury to side with you? Maybe. Do we have Don Lemon's speech?
Yep.
Hi, everyone. I have loved connecting with all of you on Twitter and then on X for all of these years. But it's time for me to leave the platform. I once believed that it was a place for honest debate and discussion, transparency, and free speech.
Again.
But I now feel it does not serve that purpose. In addition, starting this Friday, November 15th, X is implementing new terms of service, which, among other things, states that, quote, all disputes be brought exclusively in the U.S. District Court for the Northern District of Texas or state courts located in Tarrant County, Texas, end quote. The full terms of service can be found on my written statement or on the X website. Now, as the Washington Post recently reported on X's decision to change the terms, this, quote, ensures that such lawsuits will be heard in courthouses that are a hub for conservatives, which experts say could make it easier for X to shield itself from litigation and punish critics. I think that speaks for itself.
Yeah.
You can find me on YouTube at The Don Lemon Show.
Cool.
Or on TikTok and Facebook at Don Lemon.
Cool.
Isn't it ironic, by the way, Garrett? You can shut this idiot off.
You can stop talking.
Isn't it ironic that he's talking about, I thought it was the hub for free speech and blah, blah, blah. And like alluding to that it's not now, now it's just this censorship and you can't blah, blah, blah. This coming from the guy who's currently in litigation with the owner, suing the owner of said X. And that owner is still allowing your voice to be on Twitter. You're removing yourself from Twitter.
Yeah.
So even when you're in law, you've issued a lawsuit against this owner. He has not taken your free speech away to say whatever garbage you want. The fact is, Don Lemon probably gets ratioed more than anyone. And when he talks about hate speech, it's probably because anytime he makes a post at all, he gets buried. It buried. For being full of shit. Like, community noted, probably. You know,
that's probably what's pissing him off the most is everything he's posted is now getting community noted and fact-checked in real time, but not the way he likes.
And this idea that you need to put a video, hi, folks, I'm leaving X, announce it, like such a drama queen. These people that announce they're leaving something, just fuck off then. Just go. Yeah. It's not for you then. Okay, fine. You know how many announcement videos I made when I disappeared from Twitter for 2 years? None. I just stopped.
You didn't even tell people the show was leaving.
Exactly. When it's like, no, it's as simple as that. I went there for news. Like when I first got on Twitter, it was kind of confusing. What is this? And then I realized, oh, wow, I can get news articles from around the world. I can get kind of a fuller context of things. This is amazing. And then Trump won the presidency, and all of a sudden, Twitter changed radically, almost overnight. The people that came in there started throwing words at me, accusing me of things, calling me this, calling me that, and Twitter turned into a fucking garbage dump.
He probably started getting called faggot again.
Dude, it turned into, because what you had was a story comes up, people read it, and then the comments start and people discuss. Yeah. That's what you had for the longest time with Twitter. It wasn't really one way or the other. You know, the same groups of people made jokes, but whatever. Who cares? You still got the information. And then it turned into dangerous talk. And it was like, ooh, we need to stop these people. And what Twitter turned into was story goes up. And I left feeling like, has all of society lost their mind? There's only one side of the argument being represented, and they were getting very vocal and almost more radical. They were getting themselves so worked up into what they saw without any pushback from anyone on the other side. It wasn't healthy. It was cancerous. And so I just went, okay, I don't know how this plays out, but I don't need this. I don't need this. And so I just stopped going there. I would
did the same thing.
I would occasionally check in for news stories and avoid all the comments, because what happened was when you gave half the people the right to say anything they wanted and the other half weren't able to speak at all, which is what Twitter honestly turned into. It turned into a cesspool. Now, Elon Musk buys it, guts 80% of the people, adds community notes, which are fucking brilliant. And what you see is a lot of people being mocked. So when you make a boneheaded statement like Elizabeth Warren today, she gets fucking murdered for it. She gets hammered for it. That's not hate speech. It's people calling you out. But then there are some people that still, but you still get kind of a balance. You could see where her fans are, her supporters. Keep fighting the good fight, Elizabeth, blah, blah, blah. But you don't just cut off half the argument. That's where Twitter is. And someone like Don Lemon thinks that's some sort of, he doesn't, I don't know how he doesn't see what they've done is so much better than where it was. Like, I don't have any problem hearing both sides of the debate. I don't mind at all hearing from people that vehemently disagree with me. And the cool thing is when they have their platform to debate on stuff and I can see the debate get a little further down the chain, I can go, God, I thought I really disagreed with this guy, but he's making some really strong points.
Yeah.
It's crazy how that works when an open dialogue can do that. And Twitter has given us that back. Elon Musk has given us that back. I'm not saying he's a perfect human being. I have no idea what he's like, but he gave us Twitter back. There's something to be said for that. And
he's stepping in to be number one target for gutting the government.
Yeah. Yeah. You know, Elizabeth Warren, just wrapping up her, for bringing that up. Yeah. And I have that story. I don't know if we'll have time to get to it. But maybe. Elizabeth Warren tried to go out and jump on Twitter like, hey, this is 2022, and tried to trash Pete Hegseth, Trump's choice's incoming defense secretary. Now, Pete Hegseth, I don't know very well. I've watched him here and there, certainly a few years ago, more than any time recently, but he was one of the weekend hosts on one of the worst morning shows out there, Fox and Friends in the morning. I mean, any of those, and it's not their fault. It's just the nature of morning television. It's geared towards something that I find no interest in. But from what I've picked up over the years of Pete Hegseth, he almost hits you in the face too much with how much he served the country, right? Commendable shit. But it's like, okay, I got it. You served the country. Like, he is all in on Veterans Affairs. All in. He cares more about the VA, Veterans Affairs, how veterans are treated, people that are service members for this country. That is the definition of Pete Hegseth. From everything I've seen, he doesn't give a fuck about the school bake sale. He's the guy to care about veterans, how they're treated in retirement, how they're treated as they get old. Like, that is Pete Hegseth's jam. So it gets to be a bit much. It's like someone that won't stop talking about the Bible. Like, I got it. You're fucking all in on your God. I got it. Like, no problem with that. But, you know, it's something. So to say Pete Hegseth is anything other than that is kind of stupid. Well, Elizabeth Warren took to X to air her grievances with Hegseth. A Fox and Friends weekend co-host is not qualified to be the Secretary of Defense. I lead the Senate Military Personnel Panel. All three of my brothers served in uniform. I respect every one of our service members. Donald Trump will make us less safe and must be rejected. Okay, that is to look at what she's done there. A Fox and Friends weekend co-host.
Yeah.
That's how you're going to put Pete Hegseth's career. So the beautiful thing about Twitter is now, if you targeted her and went, fuck off, Pocahontas, you don't know what you're talking about, that would be deemed hate speech and you would be kicked off Twitter. If you went, hey, Pocahontas, stay in your lane, you don't know what you're talking about, that would be deemed hate speech, blah, blah, blah. Well, now, no, people are able to post back to Elizabeth Warren when she makes such an absurd statement and say stuff out like, you left out some of his resume: 20 years of military service, 2 Bronze Stars, degrees from Princeton and Harvard, active with veterans organizations since leaving active duty. You can go ahead and sit this one out, Senator. You falsely claimed to be an Indian to get a job you couldn't get on the merits. Sit down, Pocahontas. I love this one that you've got there, that picture of her race card. Someone's like, her actual race card. And if you look at it, Elizabeth Warren, American Indian. And then the DNA test came.
She's getting clowned on pretty good.
Yeah. Yeah. She's getting absolutely fucking ratioed is what it is. Yeah. I mean, you can go on Twitter for yourself or X for yourself and read this stuff. By framing veteran and double Bronze Star recipient Pete Hegseth as weekend co-host, you prove you don't respect every one of our service members. During his military career, Hegseth served tours in Afghanistan, Iraq, and Guantanamo Bay, was awarded 2 Bronze Stars. He also earned the Combat Infantryman's Badge, a CIB, which is only given to soldiers assigned either to an infantry unit or to a special forces unit who have taken enemy fire while engaged in ground combat. He's still a member of the Minnesota National Guard's inactive ready reserve. So I have no problem with Pete Hegseth. I understand it's going to be a lightning rod because you're going to see Fox and Friends weekend, but that dude's got some receipts. If you want to take issue with something, do you want to have a further discussion about Sam Brinton handling the nation's nuclear waste? That seemed a bit odd as far as an appointment. Rick Levine as the Assistant Secretary of Health and Human Services seemed like a bit of a stretch. Pete Buttplug seems violently unprepared to be Transportation Secretary, but yeah, Pete Hegseth's the problem. These people are unbelievable. The cool thing is, with a free and honest, open, not perfect, but certainly worlds better than it was, Twitter, you can get this. And so people that just would blindly follow Elizabeth Warren and whatever nonsense she spilled could actually bring some receipts, photos, awards. They can bring that information too and go, hold on. Before you go a step further and we all just pile on Pete Hegseth for what a piece of shit, how could he be in charge of anything military related? Let me remind you of X, Y, and Z, since you've never seen any of it watching Fox and Friends. I don't watch a lot of it, but I'm aware of a lot of this. I knew he went to Princeton. I didn't know he had a Harvard degree. But yeah, Pete Hegseth running that department, I guarantee you military members across this nation are going, finally, one of us in charge. One of us calling some shots. That would be my guess. I could be wrong. What are you Googling over there or typing?
I'm just posting the sketch on the Facebook fan page so people can watch after the show.
Oh my God. I hope they go watch right now, Garrett, and you tank the audience.
I mean, if I tank the audience right now, it's just the email segment. Sorry, they won't get to hear it.
We're not even.
I said after the show.
We're not even at the email segment yet. Son of a bitch. I did mention, you brought it up. I think the Department of Government Efficiency, Doge. Yep. Is there a play on words there for Dogecoin?
100%, because that's something Elon has some investments in.
Yeah.
And I might need to go move some coins around.
Did Doge do well? I know Bitcoin's going through the roof, but I don't know what Doge is doing.
It came out kind of as a meme coin, and then Elon pumped it up. So it was one of those things where you could have probably made a couple bucks here or there on it, but it never got as big as it was planned to be.
What do you think about this statement sent out today from Team Trump, the transition team? I'm pleased to announce the great Elon Musk, working in conjunction with American patriot Vivek Ramaswamy. I'm convinced Trump can't say his name.
No,
the brown one. You know, there's the Elon
not
one.
Feather.
There's the Elon fella, and then the brown one. You all know who I'm talking about. Great American Vivek.
Elon Musk, my favorite African American,
will lead the Department of Government Efficiency, Doge. Together, these two wonderful Americans will pave the way for my administration to dismantle government bureaucracy, slash excess regulations, cut wasteful expenditures, and restructure the federal agencies essential to the Save America movement. This will send shockwaves through the system and anyone involved in government waste, which is a lot of people, stated Mr. Musk. It will become...
Actually, funny enough.
What?
Ron just said it, and I was Googling it real quick. Doge just went up 260% in the last month.
Yeah, I know. I have a couple dollars, not many, unfortunately.
No, that's all you need, though, if it takes off like Bitcoin.
In Bitcoin. I have it in Bitcoin. But it just doesn't...
Yep.
It doesn't matter when you only have a couple shekels in the group. It's like, I went from 2 to 10. Awesome.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
But it is at least a little bit of it's like having a gold bar, you know, it's just money you can kind of keep somewhere else for a little bit.
I don't know what the deal is with that. So I was going to reach out to NFL Bob. NFL Bob is the
I'll have a lot more info.
He's the Bitcoin guy, but I got, I don't know, $500 worth when it was at 40,000.
Oh, you're going up really good right now.
Yeah, it's up over 80,000 now. But what does that mean? Okay, I have $1,000. Like, who gives a shit?
Yeah.
I mean, it's just fuck all money. Who cares?
No, but
it's not real money.
It's money up.
The thing that,
but that's like $1,000 that you can kind of keep in the background, like it's in a safe. And then if your wallets go down, we get shut down. Somebody shuts your bank account off. Now you have access to that money.
Well, here's the thing, though. What it does is goes up and down and up and down. I think there's a game with this that these guys are playing.
Yeah. It's up 90K right now.
Yeah, 90K. Okay, I got in at 40. I try, and this is I've told this story on the air, and I can show you. I tried to get it when it was at 6,000 or 4,000. Yeah, I was in California. It was during COVID, and I was like, I'm going to throw like $1,000 at this or $500 at this and just see. And it was still it was in the single digit $1,000 or something, and my password wouldn't go through. I couldn't get it to go through. And then literally that week, it fucking blew up and went to 40,000, went to 40,000, 50,000, if I'm remembering exactly. It's been a few years. And so I was like, I was so mad because I would have like made all this money right away. And then it started to come back down to 40,000 or something. And I was like, fuck, all right, this sucks, but I'll just buy it. And so I bought it then and I forgot about it.
Yep.
And now but now are you supposed to sell and wait for it to go back down to 10,000 and then ride the wave back up? Is that what people do?
If you want to play the market like that, you can, or you could just, if it's not too much for you, you don't need the money right away. It's all right to hold on to. But any of those coins are very volatile. So unlike a stock where it's like you can see where the business is going, there's not too much back in the coin except for who's decrypting the coin.
I got to ask Bob, like, what am I supposed to do now? Like, do you want to buy it off me, Bob? And then I'll try and buy it back from you when it goes back down. Like, or you could just write me a check and send me money. Like, that'd be cool too. Whatever he wants to do. But I don't know what the play is because I don't, what do the people that are in that world think? Do they think it's going to keep going up and up and up and up and up and up? Like, or does it?
Yeah. Well, a lot of the other coins they think are going to keep going up and up because it's a lot of times they're just pump and dump coins. So you'll see something come out like weed coin for a month. And it'll go up. Yeah. You know, everybody will buy it in at a cent, and then the person who's running it will pump up that price, and then whoever cashes out first usually gets around, quick $500 to $1,000. Everybody else gets fucked.
Yeah, it seems like a stupid game, and I know there's a lot of shady people behind some of these, but Bitcoin, it was like, all right,
it's been around long enough, and actually, the creator Satoshi, he's one of those guys where it's like it's been around long enough that it's had such a long standing. There's no real way to pump and dump it. That's
Bitcoin,
why it's one of the
you
safer
mean?
ones. Bitcoin,
yeah. Bitcoin, I'm not worried about.
Ethereum.
It's all the moon coin and Doge and dog coin and shitbag coin and like those ones. I know Troy was buying a lot of that stuff, and he would just do like $10 here, $20. Like,
that's all it was. It was a good way to make like $50 on a weekend.
Yeah, I guess if you want to pay that much attention. I don't know. I wasn't, but I don't know what the long play is with Bitcoin. Maybe NFL Bob can write me an email and just give me some direction. I need some direction on what to do. Anyways, going back to Trump's statement, I look forward to Elon and Vivek making changes to the federal bureaucracy with an eye on efficiency and at the same time making life better for Americans. Importantly, we will drive out the massive waste and fraud which exists throughout our annual $6.5 trillion government spending. They will work together to liberate our economy. Look, it goes on and on. This all sounds amazing to me. I'll be honest with you. I don't know how this looks in the real world, but one thing I can tell you is my entire life, we have known that this is a group of people that take and don't produce anything. It is a swollen blob of shit that you my whole life you've heard stories about them paying fucking 10 grand for a screw. It's not their money. They don't care. They don't have anything invested in it. So the idea,
and the companies know that, so they charge as much as they want.
Right. The idea of someone coming in and taking a fucking axe to all of these people is such welcome news. I can't even tell you. The idea of taking these groups in Washington, D.C. and separating them around the country is such music to my ears. Can they do it? I have no idea. But I looked at this election as this might be your only chance outside of absolute revolution where people take to the streets and rip people out of their offices, that kind of thing where you take it over that way and you almost start from scratch. Like outside of that, it didn't look like there was a way where these people weren't going to get accountable to themselves. They weren't going to suddenly wake up with a conscience and do the right thing. It was just going to keep going out more and more out of control. And this looked like, for the first time in my lifetime, and I could be wrong, and I'll tell you if I was eventually, but for the first time in my lifetime, there appeared to be a window to like real change where you weren't talking about the same garbage that's been running these things. It's why you're seeing the tantrums you're seeing from those people in specific.
Yeah.
Again, I keep saying the same thing over and over. This is not a right and left fight. The fight that I see is literally between the elitist ruling class and the rest of us. And we have the numbers. And so to have someone on the inside that is at least saying the right things, that we're fuck these people too. How do you get someone on the little guy's side to fight for the little guy that actually has the power to do it without revolution? It's this weird fucking Donald Trump of all people. It sounds batshit crazy to me too. Vivek Ramaswamy, Elon Musk, like that's insane. But
and that's still the thing that a lot of the Democrats have failed to realize is we didn't all vote for Trump because he's Trump. We voted for the ideas he was bringing to the table. And even if he doesn't go very far with them, I'm glad the ideas are out there for somebody else to pick up and all of us to see how popular they are.
Yeah, I agree.
So even if he isn't able to get a lot of that done, the ideas out there and they all seem to be very popular, which means more people are going to want to pick them up and run.
And understanding that even furthering what you're saying, Garrett, is that those opinions do have a voice and you can win on them.
But it's not just the
you have to do something. You have to do the problem is these are not new radical ideas. The difference is, holy shit, these people didn't get there the classic way where by the time an AOC gets to somewhere where she actually has a voice, AOC's whole message changes.
Yeah, she's been bought and paid for so many times that if she wants to keep her voice, she has to say the right shit.
Exactly. So AOC probably came from a good spot originally and then understands the game. And if you want to get up, you need to, play by the rules. Well, what do you do when someone comes kicking through the fucking doors, doesn't need your money, doesn't need your support, and can fight for the little guy? That's what they keep saying over and over and over. Nobody in the landscape media is going to give you that message. Independent media people are giving you that message.
Yeah.
And trying, we're all saying the same thing. Motherfucker, it's on you now. We did our part. We did our part of cutting through the bullshit that they tried to pin on you. Now what are you going to do? You better fucking deliver. And you better deliver for my fucking friends too that don't believe in you. You have to deliver for them. Have to. The ones that hate you the most, the ones that yell at me, the ones that I get in fights with. You fucking have to win for them too.
Yep.
It's not their fault. All right, buddy. Let's do an email and get out of here.
All right.
Let's see here. Yeah, I had so much I was going to get to today and I didn't. Poor Peanut the squirrel. Son of a bitch. They were coming after him. This whole fucking euthanasia thing, this is bullshit, by the way. You don't need to euthanize him. Yeah. They're not talking about the euthanasia.
Oh, okay.
Not that euthanasia. I'm talking about, this idea that you need to murder these guys because, we got to cut their heads off and dissect their brain. That's the only way we can. Like, that's true of CTE maybe, but not with rabies. You just quarantine him. If he's got rabies, he'll be dead in days.
Not just that.
Quarantine Peanut, all I needed was a timeout for a week. And then the tests come back now and you find out Pean's nut was just fine. So was Fred. They didn't have rabies. You didn't need to cut their heads off.
They've been living with that guy for a while.
What's that?
They were living with him for a long time, and then it came out later that I think the warrant and everything was called in by a stalker of his who was not happy with his
doesn't surprise
content.
me. So some fucking Karen out there in upstate New York ratted
Called
out
the cops on
Peanut
him.
and
Ratted
Fred.
out. Yep.
Now we
No
lose
license for the Peanut.
Now we lose Peanut and Fred. Outrageous.
Nope. Anyone who's in the fan page knows is where I stand on this.
I don't know where you stand on this, but I'm assuming you're for Peanut and Fred.
Oh, 100%.
Yeah.
They've honestly become kind of a libertarian symbol in the community.
Yeah. Of
And one of the
government
funniest
overreach.
things is, yeah, and it's one of my a lot of my liberal friends are actually paying attention now. Like, wait a second, what'd they do to the squirrel? Because that's when it starts hitting them.
Yeah.
Doesn't matter when it's a person, but if you kill a little squirrel and a little raccoon who didn't deserve it,
yeah,
now you got everybody pissed off.
Dude, Beth wasn't having it when I would have these arguments with her about Fauci. Wasn't having it until the fucking Beagle story. She's you put a fucking sheet over a dog's head and put flies on his face to eat him to death, and then remove his vocal cords so he can't go, "Hey, this hurts, stop it." You do that because you got tired of hearing the piercing howls from beagle puppies being tortured to death at Fauci's direction. Yeah, all of a sudden Fauci wasn't saying Fauci anymore. So sometimes it takes peanuts to be heroes. And Fred, poor Fred. Fred's getting the short shaft in this. Peanut's getting all the fucking all the airtime.
Peanut was more famous.
Is Peanut, but Fred the raccoon.
Nope. Cord said it again, right?
Randy says, fire detector. Damn. So this must be from when my there you go. Don't tread on me. You're right, Cord. I see you, brother, sister. I don't know what Cord is. Is Cord a guy or a girl?
I'm gonna go guy.
Guy? All right.
Yeah.
Maybe. Cord?
Just going off
what say you?
Yeah.
If it's a chick, then we gotta ask, is Cord hot? We don't know.
That's true.
No one knows. If it's a guy, you could ask that question of Cord, but I won't.
Noted.
Fire detector. Damn, I thought I was listening to Charlemagne the Stallion podcast for a minute there. Cheers, Randy. Oh, Randy.
It wasn't a chirp. Don't worry.
Yeah, and we don't call him that on this show. His name's Leonard. We call him Lenny. Or Lenny or Leonard is Charlemagne.
Yeah.
Your novice butthole play was showing, and that's okay because you never claimed to be an expert. I think someone's after my goat. Hello, friends. If I'm not mistaken, a short while ago, Mike suggested to Garrett that he affirm a suction cup dildo to a closet door. Using some critical thinking, I believe the majority of them are used in the shower because wet bathroom tile will provide a superb suction surface and a water supply with a drain affords easy cleanup. Again, just brainstorming over here, yours truly. P.S. I've had a bidet for several years, and I can say life without one is absolutely barbaric. Frank, you're speaking my language, sir. He's not wrong.
I went with the joke. I didn't think too much about it. Sounds like he was thinking about it a lot more than I was.
Fair enough. That's what we do here. Critically think about absurd things.
He is right, though. The tile in the shower, when it's a little wet, works way better.
No one wants to hear this from you. No one. No one. Well, especially mostly
also, Cord's a man. You just respond with big fat dick.
All right. Everybody, you can... oh, God, big fat dick. Yeah. Sorry, Cord. We did not need to hear that. Walters at DetroitCast.com. We've got a member show tomorrow. Patreon.com/TDC podcast. Garrett and I will be here and do that. That should be fun. Become a member and you get that extra show a week. Hey, it's what we do here. So have a great rest of the day, everybody. Thank you for putting up with us. Thank you, Garrett, for being here. And I will see you, sir, tomorrow.